It was past 3 a.m., and the city outside was quiet, the kind of silence that makes every little sound stand out. Inside his luxurious penthouse, billionaire Arman Singh was pouring himself a late-night coffee when something unusual caught his eye. Through the slightly open kitchen door, he saw a small figure scrubbing dishes under the harsh, flickering light. It was a young girl, no older than 16, her hands raw and tired, moving with a determination that didn't match her age. Curiosity pulled him closer. Who could be up at this hour washing dishes in his mansion? As he watched, he realized it was Maya, the daughter of his longtime maid, Lena. But why? Arman knew Maya usually attended school, yet tonight, there she was, working silently, trying not to wake anyone. A mix of concern and confusion tightened in his chest. He stepped closer, trying to piece together the story. Why was she here alone, doing chores in the dead of night? And more importantly, why had she skipped school? Arman had always thought of Lena's family as hardworking, but what he was witnessing hinted at struggles he couldn't have imagined. Something urgent, something desperate, had driven this bright young girl to trade her education for late-night labor. As Arman hesitated, debating whether to intervene or simply watch, he felt a pang of guilt and curiosity. What secret was Maya hiding, and how far had circumstances pushed her beyond what anyone could see? The answer would change everything, but he didn't know it yet. Arman quietly stepped back, careful not to startle Maya. The faint hum of the refrigerator and the clinking of dishes filled the room, each sound echoing in the stillness. His mind raced. He had known Lena's family for years. She had been his maid since his early 20s, always reliable, always quiet about her own struggles. But he had never imagined the kind of burdens her daughter might be carrying. Maya's face, lit by the dim kitchen light, looked weary beyond her years. Her eyes, usually bright in school photos he had seen, were now shadowed with exhaustion. Arman remembered the countless mornings he had waved at her as she rushed off to school, backpack bouncing, never suspecting that behind that cheerful exterior was a girl silently fighting her own battles. He thought back to brief conversations with Lena, who often mentioned bills and expenses, but always brushed them off with a smile. Arman realized he had never truly understood the depth of their struggle. What could possibly push Maya to skip school, working alone in the dead of night? Was it financial pressure, family obligations, or something even more urgent? As he leaned against the doorway, listening, a sudden sound from upstairs made him freeze, a muffled sob, faint but unmistakable. His heart tightened. Whatever was happening, it wasn't just about dishes or chores. There was a story here, a hardship no one had noticed. And Maya had been carrying it all alone. Arman knew one thing for certain. He couldn't ignore it. But before he could step forward, Maya looked up, sensing someone in the room. Their eyes met, and the secret she had been hiding so carefully hung between them, fragile and tense. Arman stepped back, giving Maya a moment to regain her composure, but his mind wouldn't let go. Questions swirled relentlessly. Why was she alone at this hour? What had made her abandon school, something she had always loved? He thought about Lena, her gentle voice and quiet resilience, and realized the woman had likely been shielding her daughter from him, protecting her in ways only a mother could. But what if that protection came at a cost Maya shouldn't have borne? Downstairs, the kitchen light flickered as Maya returned to her work, slower now, as if weighed down by an invisible burden. Arman's curiosity morphed into concern. Maybe it wasn't just the family's financial strain. Maybe something more pressing had forced Maya into this late-night routine. He considered calling Lena, but something in him hesitated. He wanted to understand the full story first, to see the world through Maya's eyes before acting. Meanwhile, Maya's thoughts raced too. She had always been determined to help her family, never complaining, never revealing how exhausted she truly was. School had offered a brief escape, a place where she could dream, but reality had pulled her back relentlessly. Bills piled up, her mother worked double shifts, and small crises kept stacking. Each night she sacrificed her rest, her childhood, and even her education to keep the household running. Arman's gaze lingered on her, torn between stepping in and letting her keep her dignity intact. He wondered what unseen pressures had shaped this brave young girl. Somewhere upstairs, the city slept, oblivious to the quiet struggle unfolding within these walls. And as he watched, he realized that discovering the full truth would change everything he thought he knew about Maya, her family, and even himself. But the real story had only just begun. Arman couldn't tear his eyes away. Each time Maya scrubbed a stubborn dish, he saw the strain in her small hands, the quiet determination that seemed far beyond her years. His heart tightened with a mix of admiration and unease. How many nights had she spent like this, carrying burdens she shouldn't have to bear? He thought of her missing school, the dreams she must have put on hold, and a wave of guilt washed over him. He had the means to help, yet he had been blind to the depth of their struggle. Suddenly, a loud crash startled both of them. A stack of plates teetered and fell, shattering on the floor. Maya froze, her face pale, and for a moment, silence hung heavy between them. Arman's instinct was to rush forward, to pick up the pieces, but something held him back. He watched as she knelt, gathering fragments with trembling hands, and he realized the weight she carried wasn't just physical, it was emotional, the kind that could crush a person quietly over time. His thoughts raced. What had driven Maya to this point? Were there other secrets her mother hadn't shared? And why had she felt she had to hide all of this from the one person who could have eased the burden long ago? Armand felt a growing urgency, a need to step in, but he knew it couldn't be sudden. Couldn't break the fragile sense of control she clung to. Maya finally looked up, her eyes meeting his, filled with something between fear and defiance. For the first time, the truth hovered between them, unspoken but powerful. The room felt smaller, the night heavier, and Armand knew the next moment could change everything, but neither of them knew what that change would look like. Just as Armand opened his mouth, ready to ask Maya what was really going on, a faint sound from the hallway froze him in place, a soft whisper, almost a cry. He turned, following the sound, and noticed a small envelope tucked under the corner of the kitchen counter. It was addressed to him, in shaky handwriting he didn't recognize. Maya's eyes widened as he picked it up. I didn't want you to see this, she whispered, her voice trembling. Armand's curiosity collided with a sense of foreboding. He carefully opened the envelope and pulled out a folded piece of paper. The words inside revealed a secret that neither he nor the audience could have anticipated. A series of unpaid debts, urgent bills, and a letter from Maya's school threatening permanent suspension unless tuition was paid immediately. The numbers were staggering for a family like hers. Armand's mind raced. This wasn't just about skipping school or doing chores, it was a tipping point that could change Maya's entire future. The stakes were higher than he had imagined. And then, as if the night wasn't tense enough, his phone buzzed with an unknown number. A voice on the other end delivered a sharp warning. Someone had been aware of Maya's situation, and they were keeping a close eye on the family. Maya sank to the floor, exhausted and fearful, and Armand felt a surge of protectiveness mixed with dread. The quiet struggle he had witnessed hours earlier was just the surface. Now, hidden threats and financial pressures collided, and the urgency of the situation became impossible to ignore. He realized that helping Maya wouldn't just be about money or comfort, it could mean stepping into dangers he had never imagined. The night suddenly felt heavier, and the tension in the room was unbearable, as both of them faced a reality far more complicated than either had expected. Armand knelt beside Maya, his mind racing. He couldn't stand seeing her like this, exhausted, scared, and carrying burdens no child should ever bear. Maya, he said gently, we'll figure this out. You don't have to face it alone anymore. Her eyes filled with tears, a mix of relief and disbelief. For the first time, she felt seen, not as a maid's daughter, not as someone who needed to hide, but as a person worthy of help. The next morning, Armand confronted the mounting debts and school notices. Using his influence, he cleared the unpaid tuition and set up a scholarship for Maya so she could return to school without worry. He also spoke with trusted contacts to discreetly handle the threats against the family, ensuring their safety. For Lena and Maya, it felt like a weight had been lifted, though the scars of hardship lingered. Yet, just as relief began to settle over the household, a knock came at the front door. Armand opened it cautiously, only to find a courier holding a small, unmarked box. Inside was a note, asterisk, not everything is as it seems. Watch closely. And beneath it, a single photograph, Maya smiling at school. But someone in the background was familiar to Armand, someone he hadn't seen in years and had thought was long gone. The room froze. Relief and safety now tangled with uncertainty and new questions. Armand realized that while he had solved one crisis, a hidden story had just begun. One that could change everything he thought he knew.